very, very welcome to this morning session. I have a guest with me, and myself, I'm Stina Lantz, and I'm the CEO of SISP, Swedish Incubators and Science Parks. And I'm super happy to have Myrthe with me from the Netherlands and from Techleap. This is a big inspiration to us. We have been looking at other ecosystems and other startup ecosystems around the world for the last couple of years. So I'm super excited to have this moment to ask you a lot more questions about what you have done in the Netherlands for our inspiration and what we can learn and maybe do together in Sweden. So, very welcome, Myrthe.
Thank you.
Please tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. And to kick off, I also hope to learn a lot about Sweden, because we're also looking into Sweden, what you are doing. So I think it would be nice to exchange experiences. I'm working for Techleap, Director Ecosystem Change and Governmental Affairs. Techleap is a public-private funded program in the Netherlands, really with the focus to accelerate scaling of tech companies, as well as the more software tech companies as the deep tech companies. We have two pillars in our organization. The first is more community driven. So we build a big community of over 500 skilled founders, facilitating them to learn peer-to-peer, but also connect them to more experienced tech founders. And in that community, we have some programs. So we, in batches of like 10, we connect them on different topics like leadership or investment or talent or organizational design, to help them learn from each other and to bring in some expertise from the more experienced founders. And in that same community part of our organization, we have also our deep tech programs. We built a program, it's called Pole Position, together with the incubators, the 12 incubators of the Netherlands. Because in our country, every incubator is more general. So in every incubator, there's once in a while a health startup and once in a while a food startup. And together we built a top-up program focused on one team. So after they run the incubation program within the incubator, they can apply to do this program with all the, for example, health deep tech startups in the Netherlands. And also in that part, we do a lot of research, and we build a big database together with the 41 knowledge institutions in the Netherlands to better understand where is what kind of patent, IP, what kind of spin-offs are coming out from the universities, and now we're diving into it, and how do they do with scaling. So that we want to foster actually the same peer-to-peer learning between institutions. And then we have the other side of the organization, the ecosystem change, and then we're focusing on the policy change, also more, for example, with investors, how can we connect Dutch investors to international investors so that they can invest together in our Dutch companies. And we have a data research team that do also kind of monitoring on the Dutch startup ecosystem to see where we are really doing great, but also where we can learn. And they also compare the Dutch ecosystem with the international ecosystems.
It's very interesting. And how did this started?
We started in 2015. Then it was called Startup Delta. It started with a policy agenda top-down from the government. And the focus of the first 1.5 year was really to put startups on the agenda. It was in that time pretty new in the Netherlands, so they were seen as a kind of SME. So we really used the first 1.5 year to make clear that this is something different. And then we started with the startup visa, for example. And then the government decided to run 3 more Startup Delta programs every time 1.5 years. So every time we changed the focus, or one of the periods we focused on collaboration between government and startups, for example, and another one more on valorization. So that was we were with a small team, like 10 people, and we really tried to put things on the agenda. Actually, we were too small to do really programs ourselves, but just getting more priority on the topic. And after those years, it was in 2018, we noticed that, okay, if we really want, the ambition of the Dutch government is really to become the #1 ecosystem of Europe, tech ecosystem, then you have to do a lot more than just putting things on the agenda. And then we built Techleap, a program for 4 years with a bigger team. In the end, we were like 60 people, not only putting on the agenda, but also doing programs, build a community, run programs, develop programs, build a database. That was really the first 4 years of Techleap, and now we are in the second part of Techleap for the coming 3 years. We are now moving from a public-funded organization to a private-funded organization. So that's really, so we work with a lot of sponsors, more the corporate sponsors, but also the bigger tech founders in the Netherlands, to really make the community more a private vehicle. And everything that has to do with data and ecosystem change, we're working also closely together with all the public organizations to see how we can maintain that also in the future.
Has it been, that is very interesting. I was thinking just the combination of being publicly funded and do everything that you do within policy, data analytics and so on, and combining that with actually operatively running. Has that been, how has that been working out for you?
Yeah, actually it works out really well.
Yeah.
We also made that change because when we started Techleap, it was actually mostly focused on the ecosystem change. But we noticed that, and as you all know, change in the ecosystem or policy changes, it will take 4 years. And we have a lot of startups and scaleups that need support now. So then we said, okay, we have to help them and facilitate them. And on the side, we have to do the long-term change. And it's a good combination because their inputs set the agenda for the change needed. And they can also talk to the government what they experience. So it gives more body to it. So we are also not really a lobby organization because we are funded by the government. So, but that's why for us data is so important. We just do research, we show the data, and it's a little bit also up to the government what they do with it. Of course, we bring it always with a good advice. And also ask the media to pay attention to what we see in the ecosystem. But yes, we are public funded, so the ministry is also always in the lead, also what they choose what to do.
Yeah, okay. So the public funding, it has been there from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It was an initiative from the government.
From the government, yeah. From the Ministry of Economic Affairs.
Yeah.
And the first period it was combined, also the Ministry of Science paid partly for it, and now only the Ministry of Economic Affairs. During the Startup Delta period, it was also the regions paid a part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Techleap, it was totally public funded, and now we're back to public-private funding.
Yeah, that's interesting. How many regions do you have in the Netherlands?
We have 8 innovation regions. We have 12 provinces, but some are more combined.
Okay.
For the northern provinces, they are smaller, less population, so they are combined in one innovation region. Yeah.
And still you are like 4 times the population of Sweden, I think.
We are 15 million.
Yeah. Not really 4 times then, but yeah. So I would say, if you should choose some of your achievements from Techleap and what you have done, because starting 2015 and now it's almost 10 years. Yeah. What are your proudest achievements?
We are very proud on the scale community that we built, because we had a lot of smaller communities, more focused on a team or a region, but they were mostly in the communities are mostly the smaller companies. So, but this is really a company of our scaleups. That's something it's very, for us, of course, the Netherlands unique, but it also really helps the companies, but also the Netherlands. So we are really proud that we managed to do so. We're also proud of some of the policy changes. The startup visa, we have now since 3 years and kind of top up. So for essential staff. So you can not only the founder can come, but also his critical staff can come with a visa to the Netherlands to build a company.
And how does that work? Because this is something that we're really envious about in Sweden. Maybe you know that we are one of 3 countries in Europe that don't have this. We don't have a startup visa, and it's not at all easy for our startups to hire employees from abroad. So.
Yeah, for us it works really well because often you need critical staff to join you. You're not the people that come did start already something in their home country, or they have a plan, or they worked at the university, and they want to come to the Netherlands to build it in our ecosystem. So it's good that they can bring with them the critical stuff. So for us, it works really well. For us, and in the Netherlands, it works is the combination that you have to be linked to an accelerator or an incubator. So also the startup team gets some support in the first year. And I think that's also important because then the startup is immediately linked to the Dutch ecosystem. So it works both ways. It's good for the startup, but also for the Netherlands to learn what's new and what's coming in, and but also to link Dutch talent to the startups that are coming in.
Okay. Yeah. So a startup from abroad can apply to a local incubator or accelerator and then gets access to this function, such as the startup visa.
Yeah, or you other way around. It's also possible you apply for a visa and then you help to find the right incubator.
Okay, very interesting. That would be a dream scenario for us, I think.
Yeah.
Talking about the Netherlands and your government, you just launched a national tech strategy.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, well, the government, they pointed out the 10 technologies that are most promising for the Netherlands or most important for the Netherlands. So they looked at strategic autonomy. So semiconductors, for example, we really want to have to build them in the Netherlands, but also what are the most potential technologies, because we are already very good in it, or we think there is a big growth market for it in the future. So they started with 44 and now we have 10. So they published a report, but now we're a little bit waiting because we are forming a new coalition in the Netherlands.
Yes.
And they have actually to decide what does it mean. So do we also now make a more coherent financial instrument system, or what does it do with the international talent attraction? And so we're a little bit waiting for that, but we already see that, for example, founders are uniting around those technologies. They think, okay, something is happening. Who are those founders, for example, in health or in nano? What does it mean for us? So it's just mentioning a strategy by the government and pinpointing what's important for the government. It helps to give focus in policy, but also entrepreneurship and also investment. Yeah.
That was my next question. How is this important to the ecosystem?
Yeah. So when we hope the government really puts priority to these technologies, and then it will help also to attract international VC or international investments. Because they, as well as entrepreneurs, they need trust that this is a long-term strategy. And then they can come and they dare to invest. As you all know, deep tech takes a long breath.
Yes.
So they have to be sure that this is a focus for the coming 10, 15 years at least. So we hope that really now, what's kickstarted, it really gets a follow-up. Yeah.
Interesting. It will be very interesting to follow. We are also, or we will have a new innovation agenda sort of launching this fall. So we are really hoping that this will kind of point some directions also for us. But it will be really interesting to follow what happens. So I was attending an event in the Netherlands last week, actually. Yeah. And that was your launch event of your yearly report.
True. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit. I was very, very impressed, of course, about the speakers on stage, and that you have several ministers talking and addressing several of these topics and so on. But also, of course, the founders present and the ecosystem present. It was a really great crowd. It felt like kind of everyone was there. So tell me a little bit more about this event, why you do it, and why you do the report.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, we do the report because we want to have an event and the other way around. Yeah. So every year we make like this, a broad one.
Nice.
So, the state of Dutch tech. We saw that Atomica did the state of European tech. And so, okay, now we work also together with them to attract their information about the Netherlands from the surveys. And it really helps us to give every year an update to get in touch with the ecosystem. Also with more the governmental side, but also investors are very interested and founders. So what's going on, what is changing? And we also in the report compare the Netherlands to what's going on outside the Netherlands. So last year it was a very interesting year. It was a hard year because investments dropped. So then it's also good what does it mean for the Netherlands? And why? So we, of course, also our investments dropped, but not that much as in many other countries. So first we thought, okay, this is great. But then we dived a little bit deeper in it and we said, okay, but we just don't have that many large rounds as a lot of other countries have. And the large rounds were the one that dropped the most. So we shouldn't not only be very positive, but also see, okay, but this is actually a sign that we have to speed up because we have to be more, that we should have more big rounds in the Netherlands too. But we also found, for example, in our report that if we have big rounds, in 80% of the big rounds, almost only international investors are involved. So that means that if we have big tech successes in the Netherlands, all the money flows out.
Yeah.
So those kind of insights really helps to set the agenda, for example, on stage. So we need a report to say, okay, what should we focus on? And then based on that, we build a program. And we did it now for the fourth time. And that really also helped to get better people on stage. Because now people know, okay, there will be a lot of media attention, there will be listened to it. So this year we had Peter Wenning from ASML, our big semiconductor company, and that really attracts a lot of media attention for the whole program. So it's always good to have things like that, but also we bring on stage the big tech founders of the Netherlands with international success, also to inspire other founders, but also inspire investors and the government to see we can do it. There are big successes in the Netherlands. Maybe we don't see them often because mostly they're operating somewhere else. But then we had the opportunity to ask them, why do you scale not in the Netherlands? And when they say it, and they were all founded from deep tech companies. So we know that the government really would love to keep them in the Netherlands. So that's it really helps to get the conversation going. So we use a report to build the program, but because we have a big event, people are very interested. But what's in the report actually?
So you're really launching the report at the event?
Yeah, we wrote it at the event. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really interesting. And we see also, of course, the big decline in investments. But we also had the fortunate we had some really huge rounds. I guess you've seen that in the statistics. But if we remove those, then the rest is not doing really well of the startup scene, I would say. And that, unfortunately, especially within, for example, climate tech. And those areas are super important. And I was also, during the event, I was really impressed by your message that I think, and what we can learn from that also, that you're telling the story about startups, that it's not only companies, it's not only SMEs. These are actually the ones that will build a better and brighter Netherlands in the future. So big congratulations to your storytelling.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah, but that's the funny part because we look a lot to Sweden, how you combine tech entrepreneurship to transitions or missions. It took the Netherlands a long time to do what you did already in the last century with your Vision Zero. In the Netherlands, still everything with business climate and everything that has to do with climate is very separate. But we say, but it's the same. You need innovation to build a better environment, better climate, and then you need innovation for it. And that are the businesses you need. So if you want to, now also in the Netherlands, there's a lot of pressure on international talent, trying to. There are sentiments that try to keep them out, the Netherlands now. And then we say, okay, but what do you want, if we want to be strategic, to be autonomous, we need innovation. But our companies already, our tech companies, exist of around 30% of international talent. So if they're not welcome anymore, then we also have to decide that we don't want to be the best in tech. So it has a link. And if we don't be the best in tech, then we depend on other countries what the innovation will be that we can implement. Is that what we want? But that's really hard to get that message across. Of course, during our event, everybody understands. But out that room, it's still difficult. Yeah. And then we look at Sweden, how you already did it, also with, of course, Vinnova and other institutions, really linked it together. And so it took a little, but now our government also has their missions. Yeah. So on healthcare and food and really it helps, but we can do much better. Yeah. And then we always look to Sweden. Yeah.
Oh, that's good that you looked at us. We are looking at you, so we're looking to you. So, but SISP is we are 63 members, all spread out over Sweden, and there are incubators closely connected to the university and not so closely connected, and so on. And there are also science parks. That is our main member categories. And the science parks is, of course, often you can describe them as a melting pot, a regional melting pot of the regional ecosystem. So, but for us, we strive to work together, of course, and that's why we have the member association, SISP. But sometimes it's quite challenging to unite everyone, especially since you have your daily workload and your daily focus, and how can we together, look at the bigger picture on a national level. How was this? Because I felt that you were quite united. Everyone was there. All the different incubators and universities, and it was basically everyone on site at the event. So how has this been for you to unite everyone behind Techleap's message? What have you done to succeed with that?
Yeah, I think one advantage that we have is that we are a very small country. Yeah. So everybody can be there by car in 1.5 hours. Yes. So that's a big difference.
Yes, that's a big difference.
Yeah. And then we actually we have two kind of we have innovation regions and we have more the incubators. So with innovation regions, we work together already from 2015. And we facilitated that they came together, tried to build one agenda. But it's pretty hard because every region is in a different development phase. So we have Amsterdam, they had Startup Amsterdam, and they were really a front runner. And then we have other regions that really had to start up the innovation region. So it was hard to always have everyone on the table and to build one agenda. We tried for several years, and then we thought maybe we as Techleap should not push this so much. So we said maybe it's up to you what you want. We are here to help, but if you don't want to be with all together, it's also fine for us. Let us know. And then it was a little bit silence for a period, and then they kind of organize themselves. Yeah. And we are just one of the partners. So it's for us in the Netherlands is a more healthy situation because they make those connections that works best. So we don't have to be there always with 8 regions, could also be 2 or 5, or we do different projects looking into data, just with the ones for them that fits in their agenda too. But it helps them developing, but also getting more focus on startups to in their region to say that we are a part of a national ecosystem. So then the regions, also the regional boards, they understand that they have to be linked because something is going on. So it's a kind of that helps each other. And with the incubators linked to the knowledge institutions, I think like 2.5, 3 years ago, we really started to build the pole position program. So first was a lot of talking, but then we thought, okay, let's just do something. We just start something founder focused, because that's always what we do. Let's see what will help the founders, that we build thematic programs. And then we start working together with, we call them always the front runners. So the one that would love to participate, and we start building. And when everyone saw, hey, this is a success, and the founders really appreciate it, and it helps them scaling. So then more and more became part of that proposition program. And now the last part, what we did is to build the academic venture monitor. So with all the knowledge institutions, 41 in the Netherlands, they shared the data with us, and we made kind of a benchmark for them. So now, for the first time in the Netherlands, we can see, okay, what startups come out of which university, but also what IP is still in the university, or what is developing, or what is used to build the company, and what's not used to build the company. And just having that overview brings a new dynamic. But now people would say, okay, this is more a startup university or not, and what do we learn from them? Is it also something that we want to do? So this is kind of a data-driven way to foster peer-to-peer learning, but also to learn from each other and to see, do we want to do things together or not? So this is really at the start. We just started first benchmark. We represented at the event. And now we're looking into it. Okay, how can we use it as incubators together to build a better incubator system actually in the Netherlands?
That's very interesting. We are also gathering a lot of data, actually, but still not from the universities. But we are talking to them because they are not our members yet.
Yeah.
Some of our members are within the universities or very closely to the universities, but then we also have the holding companies and the innovation offices at the universities. So, and there we are working very closely together, but we're not there yet. Yeah. But this would be, I think, a dream for us too.
Yeah.
If we could, because I also think, I mean, the data. If we don't have the data, I think someone at your event said, what we can't measure. Then we can't set goals for it either.
Yeah, we can't change.
We can't change.
Yeah, and then you only have opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you can show this is the situation,
yes,
and don't judge, because that is really, for us it also took a long time, because it's also very maybe risky, but sometimes it feels risky for university to share their data. Because it all of a sudden shows that they are not producing that many spin-offs or that they do whatever happens.
Yes.
So that's what took time the most, actually.
Yeah, to build the trust.
To build the trust.
Yeah,
to build the trust. And that's the advantage that we have as Techleap. We are a neutral organization. So we are not linked to one of the universities or... So this is really something that you need to have an organization that can collect all the data, can benchmark the data, build the trust, but don't really have an opinion, is opinionated about it. So of course we think to bring the best startups. That's the only focus. We have only founder focus, but not a region or a team, and that's something that really takes time. And in one university it was far more easy to collaborate with than with others, but I think now we have the first benchmark, and now everybody see that we are also, we as Techleap, but also as a group, we can handle it. So we don't bring negative publicity in the media or whatever. So it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time, but it's very valuable. Yeah.
But it's very interesting.
But also linked to, for us, the national technology strategy, maybe your innovation strategy in the fall. It really helps also that now if the government decide, okay, these are the technologies that we want to focus on, we know which startups do we have. And it will also help us as Techleap, but also us as the Netherlands, to build programs database. So now often we start a program on, let's say, health, and then we open, people can apply. But now we can look in the data and see, okay, there are a lot of startups of spin-outs in whatever, or there's a lot of IP waiting to be used on a kind of topic, and then we can start a program more focused on the impact that we want to make, and not that waiting for someone to apply.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think I'm really impressed by how you're working data-driven, and that was also my impression from the government that I visited also last week. When I was in the Netherlands, that you really have a data-driven approach, and I understand that Techleap and what you have done has probably been a very important driver for also the government to work as data-driven with its tech scene as they do now.
Yeah, I think it helps because we show that it's possible, and it shows that you can prove what's right and what's not.
Yes.
But I think what also helps in our organization, but also what we see the most successful regions, is a combination public-private. So in our Techleap, there are only 2 people coming from the government. I'm one of them, and there's another one. Yes. All the rest is coming from startups or tech or corporates. And we see that now also in our Ministry of Economic Affairs, more and more people from outside coming in. They have led big companies and they are now coming director. And that also changes the way the government works, because of course companies work data-driven. They have to know where their profit is or not. And that really changes also what's the way of working for the government. So we see a change in and that's really good, because this the ministry from the business side. So that it's more getting more in that direction. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So do you think it hasn't been important for Techleap to not be in the government, to be outside the government? But it's because we really would like this kind of function in Sweden, the data-driven function, and a fact-based view on the startup scene, but also to be able to say, hey, Sweden, we can actually earn this. If we bet on these kind of companies now, then we will be able to make a profit from them, basically, for the country in 5, 10, 15 years, and so on. And but how important has it been that Techleap is not a part of the authorities or the government, that is separate? What's your view on that? Because some things in Sweden, maybe this is something that actually the government can do themselves.
For us, it's really important because our message is not always aligned with the current policy.
No.
So if we see something, so policy changes like the visa, but also we're pushing for employee participation to make it more favorable tax regime. For a long time, it was not in line with what the government wanted. The only way that we could say it is that we are a private foundation, public funded, but private. So that's really important to have the other voice, that you're not a part of the government. But also very important is that you have a very strong link. Otherwise, you are just one of the many people crying for help. But our goal is the same. We want to have a strong ecosystem. We want our tech founders to make impact for a better Netherlands. That we're 100% aligned, and that's why we are funded. But the way we try to reach that goal can differ, and that's really important. And also, when you work at the government, maybe many of you know, then you also have to kind of work with everybody in the field. You cannot choose. Our government can't choose. They don't want to do it. But we do. We say we have only one focus, that is scaling. And we only work with those investors, with those knowledge institutions, with those regions that have the same goal. That want to, and then that's really, for us, it wouldn't be possible if we were a governmental organization. Then you always have to please everyone and be, of course we are transparent, but then you have to give everybody the option to join. But we say we go with the front runners. We only work with the best and with the ones that have the same founder focus view. So for us, the combination, so be private with a strong tie to the government ambition works best for us.
And the public funding hasn't been an issue with being independent, because that's also something that we are a little bit afraid of in Sweden, that okay, if we should do this as a private initiative, we're also thinking maybe it should be 100% privately funded. But personally, I'm afraid about this important link, that might be lost if we don't have also funding from the public side, from the government or from the authorities, basically. What's your viewpoint on that?
Though it's not always easy.
No.
But as said, for us it's important, but also for the founders it was very important also when we started the Scale community. They said because they want to give back to the Netherlands. So they say we are in this community, especially the large companies. They are in the community only also to help the Netherlands, to help smaller companies to scale faster. So they say for us it's totally fair that the government also pays. So we will pay, but the government will also pay, because we can flip to whatever we are, but we want to stay, we want to help the Netherlands become stronger. So that collaboration really helps. But now, as said, in 3 years we will make the community totally private funded. Also, we think now we are ready for it. So we had a few years, we could experiment, we could grow the community, but public funding also comes with limitations. And now I think our community is far enough to make the next step. So I think it's really good that the government kickstarted this, but especially for the non-deep tech part, it can be private funding now. We are ready for it. But for everything with this deep tech, it's so linked to governmental ambitions. And there's such a long period you need to invest, and it's too risky for a lot of investment funds. At least the Netherlands, the funds are not strong enough yet.
No, it's the same in Sweden.
So we think the public funding should continue longer than 3 years. But maybe not only from this ministry, from economic affairs or this pillar entrepreneurship, but also from innovation and also from the Ministry of Science. So we have to find out. But this is something that has really a big public function that should be public funded for the coming years, we think.
Oh yeah, I think we have a lot of similar discussions here. So it's very interesting, and I'm losing track of my question.
Can I ask one question also to you? Because we also say, so and within Techleap we have our Scale community. They're mostly not the deep tech founders, and we have a deep tech program, and we say it's important that we connect them. because it's one ecosystem, and we need the experienced founders to help also deep tech and the other way around.
Yes.
How do you in Sweden? Because we're always looking, when we built a community, we also looked to Sweden.
Yeah.
And what's happening here? So
yes, we have something. I mean, we have so many things that we are really proud of. But one thing that we don't have, obviously, is this data function and the data-driven insights within the startup community, and that's what we are trying to achieve. But the things that we are really proud of, that we have had for many, many years, we had a national incubation program. And it's now it's funded partly by Vinnova. So we have the Swedish Innovation Authority is funding parts of this national program, and the incubators from all the regions they apply every third year to still be a part of the program. And there, actually, SISP, we are facilitating the peer learnings within that program. So we have a very, very strong community. All these incubators, there are 32 at the moment. They know each other extremely well, and they support each other, coach each other to become better incubators and have better processes also, and also to share like international connections to each other and so on. And within the incubators, there are, of course, some of the incubators that are more maybe closer to the universities, that are more into deep tech, and some that are not. But I would say we don't have exclusive deep tech incubators. They're all mixed with other types of founders and other types of startups. And we see this has been really important for the deep tech founders, that you can be in a program together with more experienced entrepreneurs sometimes, because a deep tech founder sometimes comes directly from the university and they haven't really been working before they are setting up their startup. You know, in Sweden we also have something very different from the rest of the world, actually. We have the teacher's privilege. I don't know if you know about that.
Is it about the IP?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So actually the researchers own their own IPs fully. Then we have the holding companies, kind of the TTO offices and the holding companies, and they can absolutely invest. So you can be, as a university holding company, you can be one of the owners in this kind of companies, but you're not automatically that. So some of our incubators also have programs where they match researchers and scientists with experienced entrepreneurs.
Wow.
And that's really, really interesting. And I think that is one of the key reasons to why we actually have a lot of deep tech startups in Sweden, because we do have a fantastic deep tech startup scene, but we're also lacking everything that comes after the incubation phase, because deep tech takes time, as you know. So we're looking at companies that take maybe 10 to 15 years to actually be on the market in a good way. And we don't have national initiatives yet for these deep tech startups, but there are many that are looking into that. And then we also have some of our science parks have scale-up programs that are also really, really good, but they're not long-term either. So, I think we're facing the same challenges when it comes to deep tech. We are very, very good up till maybe year 5. And then after year 5, then it's really tricky. And that's when you also need to take on the bigger investments, because you probably need to build a bigger factory or those kind of things. And that's a hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
And in this incubation program, we also have something that is quite extraordinary. We have a data series. So we actually have 12 years of data of all the startups that have been through the program. On the national.
Oh, wow.
But we're not doing so much with the data as we should. So that's also something on our list.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's gold.
That's gold. That's really golden. We don't have the same kind of data sets from the universities. Some of the universities have been really good at collecting their data, and others haven't. Because what you're not measured upon, you maybe not act upon either.
For sure.
But since we have this national incubation program, Vinnova and all the other funders that were before Vinnova for that program have always been very interested in data. And we're very happy about that now because it gives us a head start.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Interesting.
So I want to ask if we have some questions from the audience, maybe. If someone is still awake after our... Maybe there's something in the chat. Yeah, link to the report. Matthias, hello. Wait, I was just going to do something so that you are in full screen. So, please. Hi.
Hi, and thanks for the interesting talk about what you're doing in the Netherlands. You have talked a lot about data, but for your maybe lobbying and you're driving the cause. I'm more curious because my experience here in Sweden is that a lot of innovational projects is not done due to the lack of data or that nobody dares to use the data in new areas. So have you in any way addressed this to open up sensitive data for innovational projects to drive and speed up the innovation, but also to drive and speed up the scaling of innovational startups?
Do you mean to make it possible to use big data sets to do innovation on?
Yeah, no, but to give you a context, we have two ways to use data here. Either you have a legitimate, either you have a legal base, but to use it. But if that is unclear, there's only a regulatory sandbox. And here in Sweden, it's 8 months runtime from applying to be in one to that you get your report, or through court that they say, hey, this is not allowed. And brands do not dare go that way. So my vision is that it will be data in somehow will be opened up for innovation, as in Sweden we have data opened up for science through an ethical approval. Have you addressed this somehow in the Netherlands?
We did address it, but we didn't solve it. Yeah, so our startups still have to buy big data sets from the US often, especially in healthcare. It's very difficult in the Netherlands. Also on mobility, we're looking into it, but also on a lot of stuff. Also in HR and doing recruitment, we're trying. It would be great if we have far more data, but it's difficult, very difficult in the Netherlands. We're very strict on GDPR and very, very strict. But then we also looked at French tech and actually Station F. So what they do is incredible. Their project. So yesterday they also told us again, but what they did is really open up data sources and invited entrepreneurs to do innovation based on those data bases. So that's incredible. No, but we are not that far yet in the Netherlands. Also sandboxes, we are not that good with sandboxes. So no, it's difficult for us. Yeah, we are very anxious country when it comes to data.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, in Sweden, we have done 2 regulatory sandboxes so far through the data inspection here in Sweden. But okay, thank you very much. You didn't have the silver bullet.
No, I'm so sorry. I wish we had.
And you're also a founder of an AI startup, Matthias. Yeah. So it's a dear question to us. We say that data is golden, but if we can't give our founders access to the data, then it's not so much gold in it, right?
So as part of the AI Act is also to build your national sandboxes. So we're now trying to do this together with a governmental institution that will do it for the Netherlands, to see if we really can make it founder focused, so that it will help founders to do innovation on, and not only to is a kind of information desk. Yeah. But it's really not easy in the Netherlands now.
And then you also need to have trust that the data will be available over a long time. Yeah. So it can't be just a project.
Exactly.
This is tricky. So anyone else that wants to ask a question?
We have one in the chat.
Yes, here from Sanna. You can ask it in public if you want, Sanna, but I can also read it from the chat.
I absolutely go online. Hello, Sanna, I'm representing Mobility X Lab. So we're an innovation hub working with a few Swedish industries, and we're looking for global startups. So we're representing Volvo Group and Ericsson, Sensact, Magna, and a few more. So what would be the best way for us to connect with your ecosystem in order to find good opportunities for Netherlands, Dutch startups to join our innovation program?
And then we go back to data. So we have a big. So when we started Startup Delta and Techleap, we looked at Israel. We saw their finder. So we built our Dutch startup finder. Within it, all the startups and also incubators, but also the startups and the scaleups and the investors active in the Netherlands. And it's open, so people can have a look and make their own selections. So that is the first view that you can see is who could be of interest for us. And then, of course, you can reach out to us as Techleap, and we can connect you with the right incubators or regions that more connected to the founders you are looking for or you want to get in contact with.
Great, I will do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I think there are a lot of interesting startups, of course, in the Netherlands. So more exchange between the countries are super important.
Yeah, and we are not that put in startup corporate collaboration. So you in Sweden, you have far more focus on that than we in the Netherlands. We tried, not we, but there are different organizations that tried, but it never gets real scale.
No.
So,
But it is very difficult also here in Sweden, even if we have some really good initiatives. Mobility X Lab is definitely one of them that you could have a closer look upon.
Yeah, interesting.
What they have done. But it's also building on the willingness of the large companies to actually engage.
Yeah.
So
it is, and
and it's a culture question.
It's really a culture question,
strategic question.
Also,
and,
and different timelines. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
But here I would say Vinnova has been really important to us too. The year 2017, they started actually a call that would support large companies to get going with startup activities. So they could apply, these large companies could apply for some governmental funding to kickstart and try and experiment. And a lot of good initiatives has been born out of that call. Mobility X Lab is one of them. So there are a lot more.
Yeah. Oh,
so
interesting.
Yeah, so that could be maybe some inspiration for your government too.
Exactly.
To have this kind of calls.
Yeah.
So anyone else that have a question? John from the embassy. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. I just wanted to link into to Sanna with Mobility X. So in the past, there has been Dutch startups that were part of the Mobility X, right? So we had that dialogue. Let's continue with that. I think there are definitely more opportunities there. So Techleap is a perfect way to get Mobility X more on the agenda in the Netherlands. And of course, we at the embassy, we can help as well, just to connect. And like I said, we had a good experience with Mobility X in the past, so very positive. But I also want to mention that in Linköping, there was a similar open innovation call, and we had some Dutch startups participating as well.
And that's
let's put the focus on it.
That's great, and that's Index. And actually, Anna Broders, that is on the call, is from not working with that program, but based in Linköping. So, yeah.
And Mobility X Lab, we were also honored to have the royals from Netherlands visiting us last year.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. We managed to get you on the program as well. That's great. And we will visit Gothenburg in June again for a battery mission. So you're high on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
It's great. So we are starting to get closer to 10 o'clock, and that's definitely the end time of this session. I have a last question for you. and maybe that's a more philosophical one.
Okay.
And so, if Techleap wouldn't have existed, where had the Netherlands been now when it comes to startups?
Yeah, that's such a difficult question.
I know.
We don't know
I know.
actually,
No.
but I really think that it helps to have a kind of a organization spokesperson for this group, because in number there are not that many, even if we have over 10,000. But we are a very entrepreneurial country. We have over 1.5 million companies,
Yes.
On 70 million people. So it's amazing. So I think it really helps to make clear and help people to understand what's the impact and what's the difference. But of course we don't know. If we wouldn't be there, if someone else had to this way or put it on the agenda. We've seen in different countries everybody doing it differently. So here in Sweden you don't have really kind of a Techleap, but you have other programs like Vinnova and like your program. So we don't know actually, but we hope we help to make an impact for startups. Yeah.
Yeah, well, looking on the outside, I think you have. At least when I talk to your government representatives, they are really knowledgeable. They know a lot about the startup tech scene, and I don't think they would have done that without you. So, but so what is your advice to Sweden? I mean, you have learned now that we don't have this kind of data. We only have the SME big chunk of data, and we can't really understand how many startups we have in various areas and so on. So if we should, I mean, we have a lot of good things, but we don't have the data of the good things that we have. Yeah. So do you have any advice to us? Where should we start now?
Yeah, a little bit boring, but find the data and publish the data. And also already maybe the data that you mentioned before, just show how valuable it is. I think that's really important. Because that's the way the businesses do it also. Yeah. So if you want to have progress, if you know where to focus on, and if you want to be proud, you need data to show that you as a country can be very proud of what you are achieving. So I think that it is the big advice, but also be very proud of what you have achieved so far. So also the Swedish are always very critical and about themselves, but it's amazing what happened here, and you're actually at the forefront in Europe on tech and tech innovation, and especially also the big, of course, Spotify, but also on deep tech. So I think show more proud about that could also help to make this something promising, because it's not only easy times in the world now, but this is something that gives hope. So that would be also an advice. Be proud where you are. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this hour. I'm very, very glad and happy that you wanted to join us, and for us to be able to learn from you. And we're looking forward to stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much for having, and very interesting to meet.
Yeah.
And to learn a little bit, and also we spoke before about your incubator ecosystem, so it would be great to stay in touch.
Yeah, we are happy to share, of course, everything we can. So okay, thank you for joining in this on this morning session. Happy that even if it was short notice that you took the time. So, and see you soon again.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.